Welcome to the Clean Comedy Podcast, featuring James Creviston and Luke LaCoy. Yeah, we're about to get clean up in here, so clean your mouth out with a bar of soap and get ready for the Clean Comedy Podcast.
Hey everybody, it's James. Welcome to the Clean Comedy Podcast. Today I'm here with my trusty, faithful, amazing, it sounds like I'm married to you when I say that kind of stuff, friend and co-host, Mr. Luke LaCoy.
Hi.
It does. When I introduce, I'm like, he's trusty and faithful, and he's always by my side. It's like, am I introducing my girlfriend, my wife? Like, what is going on here? No, I'm introducing my co-host. So, you're not allowed to say it, but behind me, guys, if you're not watching this on YouTube, go check it out. I'll shout out your name. Check out the scenery behind me on the podcast here. If you can name this comedy set, everything's from a comedy show. So there'll be other stuff in the future that you'll be like, well, that's not from a comedy show. But if you don't know the show, then you won't know that. But this one, everyone should know. If you don't know this backdrop, I'll move so everyone can see it. If you don't know this backdrop by just one item, this item right here, if you don't know by that item, I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, you don't need to know anything else. You just need to know that one thing, and you'll know the show. Anyways, so today, Luke and I want to kind of start a series. This is going to be a series of podcasts, and it's because things are kind of opening back up, but things are kind of not opening back up. I know one of my friends, Agostino Zoida, he did shows in Arizona, but then he said that there's an increase in COVID cases in Arizona. And then there's COVID cases increasing in Texas and in California and in Florida, and like they're going back up. And so I don't know what the future comedy is, but I think like this is the time. Like we already went through the major lockdown, right? The big lockdown. Nobody's really going out. It really affected jobs or whatever. But some people, I don't know if you took advantage. I took advantage. Did you take advantage of the time, Luke? Do you feel like you did?
I hope I did. I think I did.
I really took advantage of the time. I turned it into writing time. I got connected with some big things. I wrote a lot of big stuff. Big things are coming for us from it. There's a lot of stuff that's happening because I decided, okay, if I have to be stuck here, what's the best use of my time to push me forward when this is all over? And for me, it was taking a Harmon Brothers course about writing funny commercials, which they do. So if you don't know Harmon Brothers, Squatty Potty, Lumi, Fiberfix, Poopery, they make all those commercials. They're super funny, really good stuff. Chat books, it's one of my favorite ones actually, and just those guys. And then I spent time writing screenplays, submitting to fellowships and projects, which I got accepted to the WGA Veterans Writing Project. Writing screenplays for a couple other things, writing some TV pilots for people and working on stuff, which those things look like they're moving forward and getting picked up. So there's all these things happening because I buckled down. And I think that's what we want to talk about today is find the thing that you want to do. If you're listening to this, you're probably a comedian or a comedy writer, or you're interested in that stuff. And if you are, writing is the thing that you should be doing right now. That would be the number one thing. If I had to say one thing to do in this time period, when you have this downtime or this, I mean, you can't really go everywhere. You can't do the things you used to do. So it's not like you have time to go to the movies or go to the club or, whatever. You're going to be stuck at home. So write. This is the time to write. Find that project that you've been putting off, that book that you did. We have a friend that wrote a book. We read it. It was amazing. I loved it. I was like, I didn't know you wanted to write a book. He's like, well, I had the time. So I wrote the book. I was like, okay, cool. Right? I mean, it was a good book, right?
Yeah.
Super I was fun. Impressed. I honestly, I was like, okay. He's going to be mad when he hears this. He was like, hey, I wrote a book. I want you to read it. And I was like, wait, you wrote a book? Like, what kind of book? And he's like, I wrote like a detective comedy book or whatever. And I was like, oh, that sounds terrible. Like, in my mind, I was like, that sounds terrible. And then I read, like, I think it was on page 2 or 3. And I was like, oh, my gosh, this is amazing. I'm an idiot. I feel so bad. Like, I never told him that I felt that way, but he's going to hear it now. But I was, like, seriously concerned because he's such a funny person. I was like, how are you going to translate to the page? Because his personality is so overwhelming that in person or doing stand-up or acting or whatever, he's amazing. But I was like, how can you translate all that amazing energy to the page? And he did, and I was like, man. Also, honestly, I think this book's going to be a bestseller when it comes out. Like, when it comes out, people are going to love this, and it's going to be an amazing series. Like, I absolutely love it, and I cannot wait for it to happen. So that's one thing, writing. I spent a lot of time writing jokes, like I said, writing screenplays, writing scripts, that kind of stuff. Did you spend time writing, Luke?
No. I mean, I started a lot of different projects, and but yeah, writing just hasn't like here. I'll show like what I'm working on recently. Um, I'm doing the eBay thing right now
Yeah,
as like
yeah.
a source of income. So I have like I'm getting these all ready to send out to get graded. I don't know if you remember these
Oh, are those
guys.
Pokemon cars?
They are.
Nice. You have a
So
Pikachu in there?
no Pikachu, but
Alakazam?
I do have an Alakazam.
See, I know stuff. I'm a nerd, son. I play Pokemon Go with my kids. All right, I'm not really.
So here's
but,
here's my Alakazam.
yeah, Alakazam. There you go, dude.
But yeah, I mean, writing. Well, what's interesting, and then also on the break or this shutdown, I'm 100% freelance now. And what's interesting is that that money is coming in now from, well, money. The most possible money that I can make now is from writing, which that it just happened to work out that way. So definitely, like writing's where it's at.
Writing. I mean, literally, writing is where it's at. I started writing freelance 2.5 years ago. I just started I had a day job at home, and I'd get my work, and my hours were weird. Like I'd work sometimes late at night and then early in the morning, and then I'd be awake and I couldn't go back to sleep. So I learned about Fiverr, and then I was like in Upwork, and I started putting stuff out there, and I started working on those things, and I made a little bit of side money here and there. It was nice. I could pay for an extra thing, or we had money in savings, or my daughter get braces, or they needed new shoes, or whatever. It was just like a little bit of money, and then every year that amount has almost doubled every single. Like from my first year to second year, it doubled, and then this year it's already close to. It might even triple or quadruple at this point, depending on what's happening with some of these projects. And I'm like, what is happening right now? This is amazing. But I put in the time. You have to invest time in it. And with stand-up too, right? Anyone who says, and there used to be this thought process, write your best 5 minutes, perform your best 5 minutes, keep that 5 minutes, and just keep doing it over and over and over again until you're called up to the next level. And then you write a new thing. But it's like, if we learned anything, the person I learned about, and I sent you pictures of this, for Father's Day, my wife decided, I watched Crashing. I loved Crashing. I don't know if you've seen it. If not, you should watch it, with Pete Holmes. And in his apartment, I think it's like season 3 or season 4, he goes in his apartment, and framed on the wall is a Steve Martin album in a frame. It's framed, the Steve Martin album, Let's Get Small, which is one of my favorite albums. And I was like, oh man, this is awesome. And so I told my wife, I said, that's cool. I want something like that in my room. So she got me that one. The Button Down Mind of Bob Newhart, who's one of my favorite comedians of all time. Let's see, who else? Eddie Murphy's comedian, and then Rodney Dangerfield's No Respect, which are like 4 of my favorite albums. The other ones would be Class Clown by George Carlin, who is a prolific writer, who wrote everything, and every 2 years he wrote something new. And the other one that I wanted was Richard Pryor's Live on the Sunset Strip, which is his most notable album because it's after all these terrible things happened in his life, and he lit himself on fire, and also he has some of the best bits ever out of that album. And as I was thinking about it, when I looked at those, and the reason I wanted them is because I knew these were people who had worked hard. They'd written jokes. They had performed night after night. I mean, it took Steve Martin 15 years, right? He was prolific. He worked all this time before he got ever famous. He was famous for a couple years, and then he went off and did movies, right? He never did stand-up again, and I don't think he's done stand-up since. I mean, I know he's done like a little Broadway comedy show with Martin Short, and he's done like musical shows or whatever, but he's never done stand-up that he used to do before. And I look at these guys and I go, what's the difference between me and them, right? There's not a lot of difference, honestly, right? I'm funny. I'm not saying I'm the funniest person, and Steve Martin also says he's not the funniest person. I haven't put in the work that I need to put in. These guys put in work, right? Carlin was a prolific writer. Steve Martin worked on his stuff, his craft for 10 years without anyone knowing who he was. Richard Pryor, he wrote when he was a kid, and he did all these things, and he came out on top, right? And he became amazing, one of the best comedians of all time. You have Bob Newhart, who wrote some of the best, like, these situational, like, sketches that he performed himself. They were like, him and talking to Abraham Lincoln, and like just like amazing pieces where you're like, this is genius. Like, these guys are great. So I said, I need to sit down and write. So every day, and I've been doing it for a while, but I would write a joke a day, just write a joke, but I wouldn't really like refine the joke, and I wouldn't come back to the joke, and I wouldn't try to build the joke. I was just like, I wrote a joke today, great, move on to the next thing. And over the last like month or two, I've really been working on trying to perfect jokes and tighten jokes. And I literally I wrote another 30 pages of jokes because I started working hard on that, and just like page after page. And I went through and I do my method of, I make it 14-point Arial. I make them single lines or whatever. I think I ended up with 168 pages of material. So if you broke that down, each page is 2 to 2.5 minutes of stage time of talking. So that's like 3 hours of material. You know what I'm saying? That's insanity. I think I told you guys I'm not good at math. Don't ask me to do math on this. But I mean, that's hours of material right there that I wrote. Is it all good? No, it's not. Is it all great? No, it's not. Is it okay? Is it a joke? Yeah, it's a joke. Great. Anything can be a joke. But writing has been the biggest thing. Like, are you going to work on writing now, Luke? Is that your next thing?
Well, yeah, because I mean, now that I have the time to, definitely I can, start pursuing things that were not available. So, yeah, and then too, like back to that point with always doing the 5 minutes. We've seen now because of quarantine that your standard 5 minutes won't work anymore. Because if you're doing Zoom shows, it's almost like you have to rewrite like your whole set, because you can't be like, oh, I went to the restaurant and like, or just normal day life. Like it's all changed. So, I mean, and I feel bad. Like I've written one new song, and then I have a new joke that I've written out that I haven't done yet. But it's like, I almost want to just, I write better before a show. Like when I know I have a show coming up, that's when I start having like brand new ideas, and that's when I do my best writing. But since like the shows have been on hold, it's like I haven't been thinking about stand up that much.
What if you said every day you have to write and perform a new joke, just record it to your camera or to your phone? You have to do that every day for yourself. Would you be more inclined to write, you think, like if you put that deadline on yourself?
Probably not.
No, at least you're honest. Some people work great that way. Like I have a checklist of things I have to do every single day. I have to do this thing, and I have it on my phone every day. I get up in the morning after I, brush my teeth, do all my stuff, get dressed. I look at my list and say, okay, this is what I got to do today. And I just go start knocking them out. And I work better that way. Not everybody works that way, right? You got to find the thing that works for you. I've also been listening to a lot of Gary Vee. I know I mentioned Gary Vee before on here. I know people are like, oh, I'm tired of people talking about Gary Vee, but he's very motivating, like, and his thing is like, just go do it. Like, stop giving excuses. Stop being, wasting time. Like that hour that you're watching TV, that 30 minutes that you're, doing nothing on your phone, use that to be more productive. And I'm not saying you per se, Luke, I'm saying like people in general. Like we do waste a lot of time. I bet there was somebody who said, I forgot what book I was reading. Maybe it was Tony Robbins. I read a lot of stuff. Saying, write down everything that you do every single day, and you'll be surprised how much wasted time you actually have in your day. And I did that for like 2 days. I was like, man, I really do waste some time. Like I didn't even realize how much time I wasted, but I do. And it sucks. I hate that I do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, well, now that I'm freelance, I'm like I'm not wasting that much time because it's full up with like so many different projects that I'm working on, and you know what, I am writing now. I'm writing for a TikTok account.
Oh yeah.
So I'll consider that writing. So I haven't been writing for stand up, but I have been writing for like social media. So I'll say that.
That's good. No, that's good, right? Like any comedic pursuit or any pursuit that's making you be artistic and work that part of your brain, that creative part of your brain. That's what you do. Because right now, right, what happened at the beginning of all this, right? A lot of people are like, I'm just going to sit home and watch Netflix, right? Netflix has all the good stuff, or I'm going to watch this. And then like Disney Plus came out in the middle of it, like all these things. And people kind of just like, okay, well, I'm going to veg out now. Like all this stuff is happening outside. I'm just going to relax. And while some of us were relaxing, there were other people, the grasshopper and the ant. Some of those ants were out there still working at it, man. They were like grinding. Okay, like they're like, oh, everybody else is going to take it easy. I'm going to work 10 times harder. And I've seen a lot of good comedy coming out of this. I've seen some people's bits that they were working on online. I've seen some people post stuff on YouTube, and I'm like, man, like one of the people that really surprised me, and I loved his stuff already. Andrew Schultz, if you guys don't know who that is, he's a comedian in New York, super funny, little dirty. So if you're a clean comedy fan, you probably won't be a super fan of his, but he's been doing like a news show that he does, and he does it like every couple of days or whatever. And man, is it so good. It is one of my favorite things. I absolutely love it. I can't believe how good it is. He's just so good, man. And yeah, I love it. He's one of those people where you're just like, wow. And so that's what I'm saying. New comedy, these new things are coming up. You know, John Krasinski did his some good news show, and like, all these things came out of this. So I feel like this is a time where you should be working that creativity. If it's writing that you do that. If it's art that you do that. But focus on that creative brain. We're talking about comedians mostly. You know, if it's comedy writing or screenwriting or whatever, now's the time, right? We have this little, not really down period. We have this period where like the world's not out there to go to anymore. Like you can't go to the movies. You can't go to the club. You can't go places that you want to go. You have to go to the store. You go to work if you still have a job, if you're lucky enough to do that. And then you come home, right? And that's kind of it. Like you're just in this little small area. Use this time to grind, man. When I was in the Navy, everybody, I lived on the ship. I worked all day on the ship. I would go eat, and then I would come back to the ship and study or do something to like help move my career forward. And I was like the youngest guy to get promoted on my ship. I was the youngest one of the people to get the enlisted surface warfare pin, like all these things, because I didn't have anywhere to go, right? I didn't want to go spend money. I didn't have a car at the time. I wasn't going anywhere. I could only either leave the ship, go on base, or take the trolley if I wanted to go. And in San Diego, trolley's not always the best, and it wasn't always fun. And then I would come back and work on it. And man, people would get mad. Like, what are you doing? Why are you making us look bad? I'm like, dude, I'm not making you look bad. I'm trying to make myself money, man. Like every time I got bumped up in rank, I'd make more money. Every time I got, another thing, I would get more money. If I was going to reenlist, they offered me $10,000 to reenlist. They offered me to go to Annapolis and all these other things. And I didn't take it. I went and got married instead, and I married the most amazing woman in the world. But the thing is, I put in the work. I put in that hard work when no one else was. I was the ant when the grasshoppers were all relaxing and hopping around and saying, why are you doing that? That's stupid. You don't need to do that. And then promotion time came, I didn't score the best on the test, but I had other points from other things I'd done. And boom, I got promoted. I was the youngest guy. And also that made people mad, right? They're like, well, I'm older than you. You should be my boss. Dude, you should have put in the work. That's not on me. That's on you. Yep. So there's going to be comedians that come out of this that have been doing comedy for 10 years, 15 years, whatever. And there's going to be these new guys that have been doing it for a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever. And they're going to come out and they've been writing and working and perfecting it all this time while the other dudes are wrestling on the lawyers, and they're going to come out and smash people. And people are going to get mad. Like, why is he getting stage time? I've been doing comedy for 10 years. Like, I don't care if you've been doing comedy for 10 years. That dude worked. That lady worked. That person worked. And they're killing it now. And you're going to be opening for them, Sorry, guys. That's the truth. That's the sad part about comedy is it's not always who's been in it the longest. It's who's the funniest, who brings it, who's there, who has the best set, who's just getting laughs, who brings people to the room, people that are building social media presences, people that are building YouTube channels, people that are building TikTok accounts, all this stuff. Dude, that's what's going to drive it when this is open. People are going to be following those people because they've been stuck in their house, stuck on their phone, and they're going to be out there coming to the shows, watching this stuff, watching those people that they've been following for the last 3, 6, 9, whatever, however long this lasts, months on the internet, and now they're going to come see them in person. That's what's going to happen, and these people are just going to shoot up. This is the time, man. Put in the time. What have you learned from TikTok, from doing the TikTok stuff? I don't know anything about it. Except my kids dance on it.
It's super unpredictable.
Okay.
We're the comedian I'm working with. We have a spreadsheet, and we have all the data, all the stats. We look at it daily to figure out like how our trends are doing, and it is not reliable at all. I mean, the algorithm is like the algorithm has like ADD. So like we do something, and then it works. We do something, and then we keep doing what we're doing, and then it changes. So it's very interesting how the algorithm works, but we're finding though that like we're reaching so many people, with this account, and that's exactly what we're doing. We're getting stand up out there to a lot of people that probably would not have seen it otherwise. And because you're right, everyone's on the phone right now. They might have extra time to be on that. So and then too, this is what's super interesting. I'm learning a lot of stuff on TikTok. So there's all these professional people coming to TikTok to start teaching whatever they are professional about. And it's so amazing because like if you want to learn about investing, there's so many investors on TikTok doing minute videos on how to invest. And like this is the thing, like if you can cook, whatever skill you have, you can share it now with TikTok, and it's super amazing. They're, I mean, pretty soon, I think they're competing with YouTube in the way that people, you know, go to YouTube for education. So there's a big shift happening.
That's
And
cool, man.
I mean, it's even for fun, just to, you know, just to like be on TikTok and, you know, look at things you're interested in. It's pretty neat. It's a cool platform. You know, a lot of weird stuff on it though, and a lot of, you know, questionable stuff, but you can filter it out, you know.
Yeah, I filter my kids' TikTok. They do
Hmm.
mostly dances, and they follow like girls that do like makeup tutorials and like
Hmm.
people who dance and do I don't know. They like they mention names of TikTokers like I'm supposed to know it. They're like, yeah, this guy. I'm like, I don't know who that is. This girl. I'm like, I don't know who that is. They're like, well, they're famous. I'm like, they're famous where? On TikTok. And I'm like, ah, that's not famous. You know, I'm not to knock on them. TikTok's the next thing. You know,
Hmm.
I couldn't have named probably a year ago. I couldn't have named any famous YouTubers. Now I could probably tell you a bunch like Bia Heza. I watch his stuff. He does like investing and like financial stuff and Shopify and drop shipping and whatever. There's a family that I watch that sails around the world. Like I have a bunch of different people that I watch. Andrew Schultz, like I said, he has his stuff and I watch his thing. Like, so yeah, now's the time. And that's the thing is I would have never watched YouTube a year ago. Like I would have never sat down and watched an hour of YouTube stuff. Never,
Hmm.
ever. Like no reason to. But now I watch more YouTube than ever. I've been building computers. I've been watching that stuff. I've been planning all these different things. Like I'm like, all right, I got time. You know, I do my writing, do my stuff on my list. Then I have my free time. And, I mean, that's literally what I've been doing. And I think, like you said, this is the time for, if you're a person who wants to get your craft out there, who wants to get your name out there, get your voice out there, there's no better time than right now. Everybody's stuck. Dude, you got them. You got them right now. They're right there in their home. They got nothing else to do. Do it. Get on there. You know, make that thing happen. I mean, I'm not doing it because just I have other things that I'm working on, but we're working on other projects too that
Hmm.
are going to be big. And I'm realizing that media, these little media contents like this, are the next step. And so we're preparing. You know, Luke, we talked about Antics Media coming, and we're preparing that, and we have a lot of stuff that's coming, and it's going to be media based. Like we're going to be helping people with Facebook stuff and TikTok stuff and Instagram stuff and all that stuff, so that people and YouTube stuff, so that they can spread their message in a comedic, funny way. So you know, if you have a business or you have a course or you have a class or you have something that you want to share, we're going to be able to help take that process and help turn it into a way to reach people, to engage people, so they come to your stuff. That's the whole point, right? That's what, through comedy, through humor, because people relate better through humor. Actually, they have better relationships through humor when they laugh. You know, if you think about the best Super Bowl ads that you see every year, people don't remember the serious one, you know, with the dog crying and the girl sad or what. They remember the Doritos guy who thought that he was in a time machine, and he gets out and thinks that the old man is the little kid who put him in a time machine before because he's popping Doritos through things. Just stuff like that. Or, you know, it's just people respond better to comedy. And so that's what this is about, you know. So
Yep.
thank you guys so much for listening to us. Get out there, find your platform, do some writing, prepare right now. Be the ant. This is the time to prepare, to hustle, to move forward, do that stuff. Where can people find you, Luke? TikTok? Are you on TikTok? Are you on TikTok on your own?
Yeah, I'm on TikTok too. Luke LaCoy on everything.
Awesome. And if you just Google James D. Creviston, I didn't realize this the other day. Somebody showed it to me. You just Google my name, like literally my IMDb comes up, my Fiverr comes up, my website comes up, Comedypreneur comes up, all these things come up. So you could see I'm hustling. Like you put my name in the internet and you get some amazing stuff. I'm amazing out there. I'm everywhere. No, I'm not everywhere. I wish I was everywhere. I'm not on Twitter. I'm not on Instagram. I'm not on Facebook. I'm not on TikTok. That's not who I am. I can't live in that world. It's too much. It's too many things coming at me at once. So I do my own thing. So check out Comedypreneur for more tips on comedy. Check out YouTube for this show and name the set behind me. Put it in the notes. We'll shout out to the next one. There's also Comedypreneur episodes on there. Those aren't podcasts. Those are actual video episodes where I either give you a tip, a trick, a hack, or I talk to somebody who knows something that I don't know or that they're better at. Like about to have Howard Aronin, who's one of the best MCs I've ever met in my entire life. He's going to be on there. My friend Brian Adams is going to be on, it was on last week's episode. He does TV and commercials, and his TV show, Dwight in Shining Armor, is on BYU TV. He had a movie come out called Saving Zoe. I mean, the guy is amazing, and he helped me get my start. And that's what I aim to do through this show, through Comedypreneur, all that stuff is to help other people get their start, get moving forward, because so many of you have such amazing things to share, and I want you to share them because we need it. More than ever, we need it. Thank you guys again. Please like, subscribe, leave a review, 5-star review. Don't write anything mean, and have a great one. Bye.
Yeah, we're about to get clean up in here. So clean your mouth out with a bar of soap and get ready for the